We on. You good?
Yeah, I'm on.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
First and foremost, we want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Chakodash. Double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to those four elect. Lord, when we be a part of that number. We're the brothers from the Jimmins, Chicago. I'm here with
Brother Acre.
Brother Iwalami.
The brother Adanya.
And I'm the brother Kodar. And this video is going to be about a review of the 40 Acres, the movie. You know, so we want to say Yahweh Shema Shai Babu Kasha Shalak Warcha Kodash Kalabanaha Bakhyar, which means Yahweh Shema Shai, please send Holy Spirit to build the elect. And Lord, when his lessons are edifying. But the brother Iwalami wanted to give a short summary of the beginning before we get into the precepts of the movie. Go ahead.
Right, so, essentially the movie give an exposition of why everything, was in the predicament that it was in, So ultimately it was a disease that killed all the animals, and ultimately it basically killed the food supply chain, which ultimately led to a civil war, which we're seeing in modern day times right now, man. What is Esau doing? He's basically putting in these planned things to ultimately what? To give things, how can I say it? To basically order how is it quoted? Order
Abkeo?
Yeah, order Abkeo, the water brother. Basically they come with a problem, they ultimately present the solution. So that's what Esau Edom is ultimately doing in this time. But going back to the movie, man, and ultimately led to cannibalism. The only way to ultimately to eat was to ultimately to grow your food. Which led to, Edomites, cannibalism, basically Edomites, taking over Jake's farms and ultimately eating them and taking what they had.
And like the bro say, man, we've been seeing things like that. We've been seeing a build up of that happen over the last few years, man. You got all these billionaires, all right, like your Bill Gates, your Jeff Bezos, all these different billionaires buying up all the farmlands across America. All right, I believe like 2 years ago you had the incidents where they kept destroying all these food plants, man. They had an incident where I believe it was hundreds of thousands of chickens being recalled, man. All right, all type of things that happened over the years to where it's a build up to this famine that's coming, man, because a famine is prophesied in the scriptures, man.
That's right.
So the spiritual aspect of this movie was surrounded around a famine of the animals, all they like the bro say, all the animals had died off, right? But that's just one aspect of it, because of course we know it ain't gonna be too many crops or anything out here either, man. The scripture talks about the Lord is gonna send that blasting wind, a blasting the crops and destroying all the crops or whatnot. All right, but just the gist of a point of the movie was famine, so that was spiritual in itself.
Go ahead, brother.
This the book of Jeremiah, chapter 15, verse 1. Then said the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shai unto me, though Moses and Samuel stood before me, yet my mind could not be toward this people. Cast them out of my sight and let them go forth. Alright, so it was really all the nations getting caught up in this end time judgment, man. Israel included. So verse 2, and it shall come to pass, if they say unto thee, whither shall we go forth? Then thou shalt tell them, thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shai, such as are for death to death, such as are for the sword to the sword, such as are for the famine to the famine, such as are for the captivity to the captivity. Right. So this movie 40 Acres, it gives you a very watered down glimpse of like later Jacob's trouble, man. A heightened climax of Jacob's trouble, man. All right. During that time, it's gonna be a lot of body and bloodshed and judgment going forth, man.
I want to back you up real quick, brother.
Okay.
It's the book of Luke 23 and 31. It says, for if they do these things in a green tree, what shall be done in the dry? And somewhere we're in the green tree right now. You can buy your food, you can go to different restaurants, pick up certain things, talking about here in America right now. But it says, what shall be done in the dry? And in that movie 40 Acres, man, hey, that was nothing but dry, man. People killing each other for goods, there was no food. You couldn't kill animals for food. So what did they ultimately do, man? They ultimately end up cannibalizing people because they didn't have the the wherewithal to go to a store, buy things and things like that, because You know, it was a destitute, you know, environment they were living in. You know, so ultimately, they had to rob, they had to steal, they had to ultimately murder to get what they needed to ultimately to survive, even if it, you know, mean eating another person. You know?
Yeah. It says, because iniquity abound, the love of many shall wax cold.
I got that right up.
Go ahead, brother.
This is the book of Matthew 24 and 12. Let me actually get that in a blue letter Bible real quick, going to that word.
All right, perfect.
This is the book of, hold on, bear with me real quick. This is the book of Matthew 24 and verse 12. And it reads, it says, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. And right, that's what we seen in that movie, man. The love of many waxing cold. You know, you have betrayals, people didn't trust one another. You know, ultimately, you know, people did what they had to do to survive. And let's go into that word. Word of cycles. Let's go into it. It's the for shall wax cold, G5594. Cycle. And that says to breathe, to blow, cool by blowing. It says to be made or grow cold, to grow cool or cold. Yep. It says a waning love, and that's what you're seeing in that movie, man. People having waning love, you know, and they didn't shake each other hands. They didn't give each other, you know, props to see how you was doing, you know, see if you was okay. Hey, they wanted to get what they want from you, man. Yeah. You know, whether it's eating you, whether it's taking your crops, things of that nature, man. And applying it to today, what do people do? You look at a person wrong, they ready to finish you, man.
That's right.
You know?
So, and it says waning love, meaning decreasing. Yep. It's just getting worse and worse. You know, I had one. If you, Jaguar, you had one?
You got it.
Okay. This is we'll start. Matter of fact, I'm gonna start with Lamentations 4:9 because we were just talking about the famine. All right, this is Lamentations 4:9. They that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger, for these pipe away stricken through for want of the fruits of the field. Right, because a sword is a quick death. But of dying of hunger is it takes time. You know, for one, you're hungry and your body starts to eat itself from inside out. It's just a slow, painful, agonizing death. Mm-hmm. Okay. Verse 10, it says, the hand of the pitiful woman have sodden their own children. They were their meat in the destruction of the daughter of my people. So the word sodden means to boil. So this is the time that we're coming to. You know, the woman where she went into one of the rooms and she kicked out of rage. She kicked one of the barrels that she seen the body fly come out, man, body parts come out. You know, then she looked up and shot because it was like fucking 200 of them. Yeah. You know, so these are the times that we're coming into, man. You know, you got one?
I got one. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 15, and starting at verse 18, it says, for because of their pride the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and man shall be afraid. And man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their house with the sword, and spoil their goods because of lack of bread and for great tribulation. That's what you're seeing happening, like the bro just quoted earlier. You know, the hearts of many shall wax cold. It says a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, man. All right, and even in the movie, the lady was like, you know, hey, do you see them coming to check on us? Do you see them, looking out for us, or seeing how we doing, man. So it was no love back and forth, man. It was both sides, man. All right, and that's what's gonna happen in these last days because of because it was great tribulation going on, man. All right, lack of bread, all right, lack of food, all right. So it was it says a great tribulation. It says, let me see, was that it?
Could you read verse 19 again?
Verse 19, or did I read it?
Yeah.
Verse 19 says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their house with the sword and spoil their goods because of lack of bread and for great tribulation.
The whole reason why this shit even started, a famine. Yeah. All the animals died off. Now they don't have nothing to eat. You got these fucking Edomites. So when people get to a certain point, for one, Esau is wicked as fuck, and he do that shit out of enjoyment. But this the mindset that people are going to have now because they're going to have nothing. Your mind triggers a psyche. These people going to have demons on them, man. So they're going to try to eat other people.
Yeah.
The scripture says it.
It's a sin. When you have nothing to lose, you lose it all.
Yeah. It says, it shall destroy their houses with a sword and spoil their goods, meaning to take their belongings. It says, because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Because of the lack of bread. What you guys got it?
And I just want to touch upon a point, real quick, how ultimately these Edomites were ultimately the different farmland because it was like a network. That I forget the main character lady's name. You know, the Jake woman, but ultimately she said it was a network of farms working together, and ultimately some of the farms end up going blank. Ultimately, they didn't hear from them, and ultimately the Edomites ultimately took over what they had and ultimately ate them. But this is the book of Micah 2:2. And it says, and they cover fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. Yeah. So they oppress a man in his house, even the man in his heritage. Right? This is Esau's MO, man, and they showed it in that movie perfectly, man. What did they do? They ultimately went to these different farmlands, ultimately not only killed, but ate the people and took their resources, man. Mm-hmm. You know, this is Esau's MO, man. He takes what you have, and he ultimately, you know, claims it as his own. You know?
That's right. That's right.
I got one for y'all.
Got it.
The second Ezra chapter 16 and verse 17, it says, woe is me who will deliver me in those days. The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils, what shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague and tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for a minute, right? And we know that this is just a movie, all right? But hey, you know, like they say, art depicts life, man. Right? This movie, you know, shows, like the bro said, a watered down version of what's to come, man. Because you know you gotta, you know, eat the meat, spit out the bones. Of course, like I said, man, and you ain't gonna just have all the animals die from a disease, and then you know, people still eating, you know, vegetables and stuff like that, man. No, the Lord, He's gonna bring. This is the Lord's will, man. This ain't just no coincidence, man. You know, all the animals, you know, died, and you know, we just got this source of food. No, man. Hey, the Lord talked about a famine. Hey, you ain't gonna be able to find no food nowhere, man. All right. And Esau, like I said, Esau, he has his own agenda where he wants to, you know, put the squeeze on Jake. All right, you know, make the food, you know, rational, man. So you know he could, you know, bring out his MOTB. All right, you know, that's why, like I said, you know, he done destroyed crops over the years. You know, then bought up farmlands. You know, so you know, these local farmers can't really, you know, run anything, man. All right, you know, he did all these things to corner the market so he could bring this, you know, man-made famine, which is it's only gonna intensify because this is actually the Lord, man. The Lord, you know, it says He controlled the hearts of the kings, man. In Proverbs 21, you know, king's hearts in the hand of the Lord, you know. So these things are written in the scriptures, man. All right, and it says. Beginning of famines, it says, behold, famine and plague and tribulations, these are sent for scourges of amendments. Yeah. Right? You know, and hey, and even when these things are going down, man, a lot of you jakes are still gonna be, you know, committing wickedness, man, not turning back to Yahweh Shema Shah, but hey, that's why a lot of you jakes are gonna pine away from famine, man, which like the bro said, that's worse than, you know, dying by the sword, man. All right, because it's gonna take a long time for you to actually die, you know.
Come.
Can you jump to verse 33 and verse 34 in that second Ezra 16? It's like a point I want to make.
This is verse 33. It says, the virgins shall mourn having no bridegroom. It says, women shall mourn having no husbands. Their daughters shall mourn having no helpers. It says, and the wars shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine.
Now, you know, you asked the brother to jump to this point because in the movie you had women, especially that Jake woman, doing some heroic shit, but in reality, a lot of these bitches are going to be mourning out here, man. Yeah. They're not going to be on no double, like I said in the previous, they ain't going to be on no 007 shit, man, jumping across walls and ultimately, you know, putting men to death, man. That's not what's going to happen, man. You know, a lot of these women are going to be left out here mourning and without husbands, man.
Yeah, and ravished. Because there ain't no way you doing no Black Widow jump on a dude neck, put on him in a triangle, 360 cartwheel. You know, then you got the nigga to the floor. Nah, man, that bitch. Hey, in reality, she's either getting put to death or ravished, or both.
That shit Hollywood.
You know.
That shit straight Hollywood.
But we grabbed some precepts on cannibalism. Let's go into giving your strength into a woman, because you know, although this is a very good movie, you know, of course Esau got to put his bullshit in with you know, a woman being the head, you know. First and foremost, they got this woman sitting in the head seat. The pops, which is a Gadite, he the coldest in the movie by far. You know, he really the coldest in the movie by far. You know, and he's in a secondary seat. You know, and the woman got the chief seat. You know, that's folly. You know, but that's this society and this woman worship. You know, but that's gonna be the more this society collapses, the more that shit will get weakened. And these women are gonna be humbled. But go ahead, brother.
Got a point for your brother. This is the book of Jeremiah 31:22. It says, "How long wilt thou go about, O thou backsliding daughter? For the Lord hath created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man." And right, that's basically what that movie showed, man. Hey, that woman being in the head seat, that woman controlling what the family was ultimately doing, not the man.
Yeah.
You know, and ultimately what? They was following her lead. You know, what's supposed to be a position of where a man's supposed to be.
Exactly.
She was in that position.
What they call her in a movie?
They call her ma'am. They always said, "Yes, ma'am."
Even the pops, right?
Yep, he said, "Yes, ma'am."
That shit wicked, man. Yeah, man, and Esau plays a part in that.
Yeah.
You know, because, hey, you know, first and foremost, should have started in the garden. You know, that's really where it started. You know, but then it trickles down now. You know, Eve has always made deals with the serpent, with the feminist movement, the woman's liberation. All right, putting these wicked witches up as celebrities and preaching them to say fuck men and, you know, INDEPN, you know, who run the world, girls. All these are enchantments. You know, to put that feminism spirit on these people, man. And this is how this society is today. You know, a woman is over a man. Yep. You know? And Esau, go ahead, brother. Salaki.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, and you know, that's how it is now. All right, you know, like the bros going into that feminist movement. All right, the prophecy of the woman compassing a man. All right, but as depicted in the movie, that's not how it's gonna be in these last days, man. The scriptures tell you that, you know, a man shall be a hiding place, you know, from the wind. All right, you know, scriptures tell you that 7 women is gonna cleave unto 1 man. All right, saying, you know, I will wear my own apparel. Let us only be called by thy name. Why? Because there's gonna be so much death and destruction going on out here, man. They gonna seek a man of the Lord, man. All right, it ain't gonna be no fucking Hollywood, you know, activity going on out here. You got, you know, 3 men in a barn house, big, testosterone filled men, and a little woman. All right, she gonna beating ass, man. No, man,
3 of them.
3, right? You know, not gonna be like that, man. You know.
Yeah.
And it's another scripture that I had. It talks about. It says a woman shall be a hiding place. I mean, a man shall be hide. Oh, I will make a man more finer than the gold or Ophir, man. You know, so the man is gonna be the prize in these last days. They're gonna be, you know, it's gonna go back to its natural order, man.
That's right.
You got.
And if I could back up the brother, specifically the men of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, because these niggas. You know, obviously, those in the know what the brother's talking about. But I'm just emphasizing the point because these niggas going to be like these bitches. You know what I'm saying? Because the scriptures say that, man.
Yeah, even men shall be afraid. Yeah.
That's right. Hey, so anybody outside of Psalm 91, like the Elder Jeremiah says all the time, man, you through. You know? You had what?
I had that Psalm 91.
God, let's, yeah, we gonna end off with that Psalm 91. Shit, let me see.
I got a quick one. This one more, just touch upon the women's subject.
Yeah. So yeah, grab Proverbs 31. Yeah, that's still the topic we going into.
Yep, it's the book of First Ezra.
Proverbs 31:3.
4 and verse 22. It says, "By this also ye must know that women have dominion over you. Do ye not labor and toil and give and bring all to the woman?" And right, talking about this goofball Manny in the movie, man. You know, he ultimately got his whole family, almost got his whole family killed, you know, just for a woman that ultimately came upon their farmland. And he was basically acting simple, you know, just to basically protect this woman he ain't know nothing about, man. And what did his mother ultimately end up telling him? Hey, she go play you, man. And what ultimately ended up happening when they ultimately got to the bus of what, you know, they ultimately met up, or what he, you know, basically went with the woman at. She ultimately set him up to get her people back.
She deceived them.
Yeah.
The scripture says not to lean onto your own understanding. You know, so you gotta follow orders. You know, not being weak over these women, man.
I'm gonna just jump to the point. Jump down to verse 26. It said, "Yea, many there be that have run out of their wits for women and become servants for their sakes." Right. This guy Manny was acting irrational for this woman, man. You know, doing everything ultimately to please her, to ultimately to get what she wanted or needed. It says, verse 27 says, "Many also have perished, have erred and sinned from women." Right, because ultimately in the movie, man, he almost got his whole family killed, as I mentioned before, man.
Yeah.
You know, making stupid decisions for this woman. You know, basically making his family more vulnerable from his decisions he was making regarding this woman.
Exactly. Because if that wouldn't have happened, you know, of course the movie was played out to happen that way, but Still, the nigga was being weak. But if that wouldn't have happened, they would have been intact. You know, even if they would have got attacked, they would have been stronger off, and less they would have took less damage with them being on everybody being on point. You know, grab that Proverbs 31:3.
Yeah, the scripture says, "Lay thy hand suddenly on no man." That goes for man and woman. You know, especially in that type of time.
Oh yeah.
All right. I mean, even in these times, you know, but how much more in that day, man?
Right.
You know, hey, shit. Hey, but the book of Eli show you that, man. You know, Eli was on point, man.
Yeah.
He seen that woman. That woman was, you know, posing as if she needed help. You know, and the whole time it was a trap, man. You know, so in these last days, man, you know, Jake gotta, you know, of course it's all to the Spirit. The Lord gonna guide us, but you know, hey, that's why the bros say, man, if you ain't part of brotherhood, you know, your ass cutting that day, man. You know, cause you ain't gonna know who, you know, an agent of Satan, man. You know.
Come.
Got that proverb. Proverbs chapter 31, verse 3. Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings.
You got it, bro.
Right, and that's what the nigga in the movie, man, you know, pretty much being emotional, man. You know, having no control over his spirit. You know, and hey, things like that, that's not wise. Alright, especially in that time, man. And the scripture say that wisdom and knowledge is gonna be the stability of that time. So the Lord, we need to move with wisdom. So things like that is just, you know, teaching points, man. All these different end time apocalyptic movies.
And just to add on your point before we go to the last, precept or so, ultimately that's how a lot of kings feel within the scriptures, man.
That's right.
King Solomon. And that's how a lot of men fall in this time, man. They look at the beauty of a woman, they be deceived by the beauty of a woman, things of that nature, and ultimately cause them to fall, man. And how much more so when all hell breaks loose, man. You're gonna have people, women setting up men, all type of things, man.
That's right. Let me see. Y'all was hold one?
Nah, that was pretty much all I had.
Okay.
That's Psalm 91.
Yeah, go ahead, bro. Bro, ended off on that.
This the book of Psalm, chapter 91. I'm gonna just start at verse 1. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my power, in Him will I trust.
And can I just make a quick point? At the end of that movie, what did you have? How I saying that spiritually, you had the family at the table, setting up the table, things like that. And they was eating good, man, while the rest of the world outside the farm was ultimately suffering, man. And I just basically, looking at it as spirituality, looking at that as the elect, man, being good, being happy, being straight, being satisfied,
Psalm 91:3 says, surely He shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid of the terror by night, nor for the arrow that fly by day, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. Yeah, and pretty much that's the time that we coming into a lot of bodies, a lot of death, a lot of judgment, terrible times, perilous times, all these things that the scriptures mention. All right, and we're gonna need the Lord through that day. So these visuals, these movies, these visuals, they give you a depiction, but ultimately we're about to go through what's called Jacob's trouble, man.
Yeah.
So you need to move with wisdom.
That's right. Hey, let's lock it. You got a point?
No.
Let's close out on verse. Let's read down to verse 9, and we'll close out.
Says Psalm 91:8. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked.
Yeah, this is the reward of the wicked. And reward can be something good and bad. It ain't just a good thing. That word has a positive connotation, man. That's something that can be good and bad, man. The shit that's about to happen, this is their reward, man. All right, they fucking wicked, man. All right, but we make lessons like this. We also get into the balance of it and get into the comfort part. Read verse 9. We'll close it on that.
Verse 9 says, because thou hast made the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, which is my refuge, even the Most High thy habitation.
That's right. Go ahead.
There shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling.
Yep. And let's read verse 11. Salaki. It's all through the Spirit.
For he shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee in all thy ways.
That's right. Yahweh Shema Shah is going to protect the elect. You know, they said this is the reward of the wicked. You know, we're going to be in the midst of it, but the Lord is going to cover us, protect us, and feed us. You know, so that's a comfort part for the elect. This shit is for these wicked niggas, man. You know, we suffer. Hey, we catching the spiritual fire now, so we won't catch the physical fire later. You know? So that's the beauty of it. You know? Hey, so, y'all good. So, hey, Lord willing, that was edifying. We want to give all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Achakodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to those who elect. Lord willing, be a part of that number. Shalom, Kwame Sharala, Wa Bible Ball.